Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL. It's already game week 3 preview. It's time for us to go. Let's dive in with the table as usual. So again, big table. As you can see, a lot of movement coming up there. Fatima having a great week there, but Ansu as well. Very tight at the top after 2 weeks. Fatih has two teams in the top 5 doing really well so far. Let's see if she can maintain that. Lots of movement otherwise. The champ dropping down again. One of our champs, should I say, dropping down to 5. The other has just entered the top 10. Really good. All top 10 teams have already crossed the 100-point threshold, which is really good. Now looking at the second half of the table as well, still a couple of Centurions in there, and then you can see a lot of the teams moving up between 13 and 16, all picking up points there. Zahra still having an almighty battle against herself there, despite having a good week with Iron Wall FC. It's all very close. Game week 3 is coming up. Let's get into some of the action there. Let's start with the player selections. So no surprises, Cole Palmer still owned by 80% of the managers. I think that might change because he has been injured last game, didn't play in game week 2, is not available for selection in game week 3, and then we have the international break. Might be time to reuse those funds. Mo Salah is still there. 60% of the managers definitely deciding to keep him on, despite tough fixtures, despite a few low scores. Definitely some critical inputs there though in the opening fixtures, and hopefully he should do more. Ollie Watkins still holding on at 55% of owners despite blanking for 2 game weeks in a row. However, he should come good at some time. Aston Villa still have fantastic fixtures coming up, so would advise you to hold on Ollie Watkins. Looking at the differentiators, so for this week, Riccardo Calafiore is back in again, 13 points again this week. One lucky manager having him on their team. That's fantastic. Jack Grealish coming good after a few minutes in game week 1, came in for 90 minutes in game week 2, 11 points for him. So far, 3 managers out of 20 managing to score on that one there. Marco Correa doing well as well, a quarter of our managers holding on to him. João Pedro, almost a third of the managers have him, 15 points this week, really big. And joining him, Jordan Pickford with a penalty save this week, 15 points, big one for 40% of our managers that had him, but not all played him unfortunately. So let's look at the hits and misses as well. So quite a few hits this week as well. Azra, the only one managing to get good points out of her front line, so super strikers for her, 20 plus from that front line. A lot of good defensive contributions as well. Fatih doing really well. I'm in there as well as Pai. And then we've got Zai in there and Squish. Squish is always in the defensive points, doing really well again. But then some 30 plus points as well coming in. Fatih, Antu and Azra all doing really well, picking up big DEFCON points, and Jordan Pickford as well. A couple of misses here, 3 people with hot benches this week, 17 plus points for Hussein, Ami and Mobs, mainly due to Jordan Pickford sitting on the bench for most of them. So unfortunate for them, that could have made a big difference in this tight table so far. With that, let's have a look at what our best possible selection would have been for the week. So Jordan Pickford picking up the captaincy armband because of his lower price versus João Pedro, 30 points for him. Calafiore, Chaloba, Kukureya, Tarkowski and Collins making up the backline, a 5-3-2, showing how much the defensive contributions are helping the season. In J, Grealish and Johnson making up the midfield. No Salah in this midfield this week, 5 points, not enough to get him on there. Rice and Neto with 6 and 7 having to take the bench. And up front, just João Pedro and Ekitike. No other strikers coming even close in the selections. Mayenda getting on his first week in the FPL teams, coming in with 2 points and getting the bench due to his lower cost. Vicario gets the bench for the goalkeepers. Now this team would have got you 130 points without the bench and 154 with a bench boost at a very affordable 93.1. And on the field, guys, looking at the players that are there, without Haaland, without Salah, without Palmer, this team would have cost you less than 70 million to get 130 points. So just think about it when making those transfers. But we still have the transfer window open until the 1st of September. So remember not to rush in with those wildcards as well. Now, looking at the transfers out so far, some updates as well. Not many of them, except that Kani Chukwuemeka has now moved from Chelsea to Dortmund, and Alex Moreno has moved from Aston Villa to Girona. The rest of it you've already seen, and feel free to pause this so you can have a look at that. Looking at the transfers in, a little bit of excitement happening here as well. So Jeremy Pino joining Crystal Palace, so he's coming in as a defender here, possibly paving the way for Mark Gahey to move out from Crystal Palace to Liverpool. Still waiting for news on that. Tyler Dibbling, the exciting right winger, is in from Southampton after getting relegated last season, now joining Everton to give them some creativity on the right hand side. And Xavi Simons, this one coming hot off the press, happened early hours of this morning, has agreed a deal with Tottenham, moving from Red Bull Leipzig to Tottenham Hotspur on a 5-year deal. So that one is the latest signed and incoming. He might not be available for selection this week, but keep an eye on him as a creative midfielder, really going to help them with because of the injuries with James Maddison and the Dejan Kulusevski. So just remember to keep an eye out for Xavi Simons coming up. Looking at the interleague moves, of course, again, a lot of them that we already know about, but some of the newest ones that have come in especially is Eberechi Eze has finally made the move from Crystal Palace after many years of being a loyal servant and winning trophies with his team, has now decided to go back to his boyhood club of Arsenal. A big controversy there as he was planning to go to Tottenham Hotspur, but Arsenal hijacking that move at the last minute, and now Eze will move to Arsenal instead and possibly getting a start this weekend. So now looking at the matchups for this week, as you can see, games are lining up as well. Some very, very tough fixtures coming up ahead. Arsenal taking on Liverpool. This is already a possible league decider early on. So it's going to be very, very tough for both those teams as well. Both are looking good in the early season. Both are undefeated so far in the Premier League. Liverpool are looking a bit shaky at the back. Arsenal looking as strong as ever in the back. Let's see how that one is going to line up. But they're not recommending players from those teams this week. Aston Villa still have a good run of fixtures right up to game week 7. Very winnable for them, even though they are struggling a little bit at this moment in time. After game week 7, you can see the tougher fixtures come in back to back, so we'd look at moving some players out from there. Although because of their form, I wouldn't suggest a triple up on them, but maybe a double up is still worth a while. Not much to say about Bournemouth and Brentford. They're having a fairly good run of matches, all of them winnable, but also against some teams who could get the results against them. Brentford, however, doing really well. Dango Ouattara, since his transfer, has been flying for Brentford. A good chance against newly promoted Sunderland this week. Not many players to select from there, but we'll see when we go through the selections. Brighton, always been a good team, always able of getting some surprise results, but City this week, and then Bournemouth, Spurs, and then Chelsea. Again, quite tough matches coming up ahead of them, so we're just warning you that we would not recommend. Burnley, of course, we would not recommend anyway, and Chelsea, based on their current form, Palmer is out. Not sure how this will play out for them in the next couple of weeks, so no recommendations there. Crystal Palace, of course, we are recommending to stay away with Eberechi Eze out of the way and Mark Gahey possibly moving by the 1st of September. It's going to be very tough for them to get some results as well. Crystal Palace also playing in Europe for the first time, so they are playing midweek matches. You can see the tiredness in the players as well. Just be very aware of these selections for Crystal Palace. Fulham is the other one that we've called out as a red flag here. Fulham is a very tight team. As you can see, they're able to get some results, able to hold their own at the back. They're coming up against Chelsea this week. Then they have some fairly good fixtures, but then it gets a bit tighter for them as we go. So not recommending them per se. And then Liverpool is the last one that we're not calling out, especially this week. After that, a fairly good run for them, so you might want to give them a look, especially with players like Ekitike doing really, really well for them. And then Salah, of course, is a perennial favourite. Now, looking at the teams that we are suggesting you look at this week, Aston Villa is, of course, one of them. But Manchester United, despite the Grimsby Town exit, which was insane, they're probably going to look to come back with some fire. And they have newly promoted Burnley, who we know are not the best defensively. Look to them to go high on attacking here. Chances are they will rebound. This is what we're hearing from the channels that we're looking at. Of course, you can never say with Manchester United, but if you have faith in them, there might even be a captaincy option within that. Newcastle United, 2 great games coming up, Leeds and Wolves. They will be boasted by the joining of Jacob Ramsey in the last couple of weeks, and now they have recently signed Nico Waltemada. He will not be available for the game against Leeds that's happening tomorrow. He might possibly be there for the game against Wolves after the international break. However, that news has bolstered them, and they have a fantastic team lineup. They do have a lot of injuries, so we'll cover that when we go through the back-to-back selections. Notts Forest are another team who are quietly getting on with business. Good results, goals flowing. West Ham coming up this week. It's going to be a tough game for West Ham. Forest are looking strong. Then they've got Arsenal, but then Burnley and Sunderland following that. I would recommend over the next 4 weeks, you're looking at bringing in your Nottingham Forest players and making sure that they get a bit of a run. And then Tottenham Hotspur, who have been a little bit the surprise package of this season, of course, after finishing 17th last season, just one of the relegation spots. They are now tied first at this moment in time, doing really well, and good fixtures against Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, and Leeds. So the next 5 weeks, very good fixtures. Defcons are there for the defenders as well. They do have attacking threat as well. A bit of issues with midfield, but with Xavi Simons coming in, possibly this week will be a bit of a tight run thing, and then a chance for them to do well. Richarlison is doing fantastic. He's been selected for the Brazilian national team already. Dominic Solanke is coming back as well, so might be wary of minutes there. But of course, these are on-form players. Now, jumping into what we would do with selections, so there's quite a few players out as well. Levi Colwill still out for Chelsea, Guardiola out for Manchester City, Branthwaite and Asnou, both of them not available for Everton, Martinez and Mazraoui not available for Manchester United, Ballard, after doing well in game week 1, is now out for Sunderland, Ben White is doubtful for Arsenal, and Jeremy Frimpong is not available for Liverpool. But looking at the selections that we have, then Cavan Kelleher for Brentford this week is definitely one that we would call out at a good price. Nick Pope for Newcastle, especially for the next couple of weeks. Jordan Pickford after his heroics last week, I should say. And then Sells as well, who again has great fixtures coming up in the next 3 weeks, even though Forest have conceded in each one of their games in the first 2 game weeks. Then looking at defenders as well, you got Nathan Collins from Brentford, Lenny Yoro from Manchester United, again scored a goal as well that was unfortunately denied and turned into an own goal in game week 1. But he has done well in terms of his defensive contributions as well, definitely worth a look. Dan Burn and Tino Livramento for Newcastle. With the games coming up, guys, you need to look at these guys. Livramento's DEFCON is off the charts, and Dan Burn is always a threat, especially against the newly promoted teams, for his presence in the box during corners as well. So look at that being an option for you. Marco Correa has been off to a flyer for Chelsea, so we recommend him, same as Ryan Idnuri. Nico Williams, Ola Aina, and Milenkovic are the 3 choices from Notts Forest. You don't need to put all of them in. Depending on your budget, you can choose between these 3 players. Then looking at the midfield as well, big news here. Saka out for Arsenal, Odegaard out for Arsenal. That is an issue. However, Eze coming in at just the right time. They do have Mikel Merino in there. Leandro Trossard signed a new contract, so they do have sufficient cover. Gabriel Martinelli still there, even though he may not be in the best form, so they do have cover, but it's not their ideal start as well. Jorginho Ritter, after doing well, he is doubtful for Brighton. There has been videos of him doing a dance recently, so it looks like he might be back. However, official news is that he's still doubtful. As we spoke about at Spurs, James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski, both of them out currently. So look at Spurs not struggling a bit at midfield, but struggling for creativity at this moment in time. They still have Mohamed Kudus there. They still have Brennan Johnson there. Both of them are doing fairly well. So look at that. Christian Norgard's doubtful for Arsenal as well. Justin Kluivert still out for Bournemouth. Newcastle taking a few hits as well. Anthony Gordon with that tackle on Virgil van Dijk in the game last week Monday is now suspended for 3 games. Will only be back on the 28th of September. Joe Linton is not available for the game on Saturday, and Tonali is doubtful for that one, which means that when you look at Newcastle, you have some options there. As you can see, Cole Palmer is not available this week for Chelsea, guys, so keep him or sell him. You got to decide, but the thoughts are that by the end of day today, so in about 4 or 5 hours, his price is going to drop. So you're going to lose value on Cole Palmer if you're not moving him out. You can still hold on to him though if you think he's going to bounce back super quick. In terms of the picks, we cannot have a pick on midfield without putting in Mo Salah. Even though he's going up against Arsenal, he's one of those guys that can change the game against anyone. Declan Rice and Eberechi Eze, of course, for Arsenal. Same story, going up against Liverpool is going to be tough, but these are game winners. Tijani Reinders looking to capitalize from game week 1. Had a bad game week 2 against Spurs, but looking to go big now against against the team this week. Then you've got Brian Mbuemo, Bruno Fernandes, and Matheus Cunha from Manchester United. Again, guys, making this recommendation because there's a lot of clatter around in terms of how much the guys are looking to win this game against Burnley and really make a statement in the league. Not sure how that will play out. However, a lot of players are actually going for not only selecting them on a free hit, but also captaining one of these three players. You don't have to do it, just putting it out there for you as advice. Morgan Rogers for Aston Villa, same as Ollie Watkins. I mean, Villa have great fixtures. Morgan Rogers is a mercurial player. Let's see if he can make things happen. If they blank again, guys, you might want to think whether you want to hold on to these players for 7 game weeks before moving them out or use that value elsewhere. Antoine Semenyo has hit the ground running for Bournemouth, doing really, really well. Tough game this weekend against Tottenham Hotspur, but again, if he broke Liverpool, I think he can probably do well against Spurs as well. He's currently the top-rated midfielder in the Premier League over 2 weeks. For Newcastle, captain Bruno Guimaraes is going to be big in this game coming up this weekend. Anthony Elanga, the new guy, he is so fast on the wing and creating a lot of chances against the teams that are newly promoted and the teams that are struggling. There's always a chance that he can score. And then looking at Nottingham Forest again, Morgan, Gibbs-White and Ndoye, the new guy, already scoring goals as well. Looks like a very solid outfit at Nottingham Forest. They've managed to hold a lot of the key players and build on top of that. At Brentford, Dango Otara is a machine. After coming in there last week, big points for him as well. Great fixture for him this week, as well a chance for him to score even more if you're looking to bolster your midfield with him. And from Spurs, even though they're missing Madison Kulusevski, even though Xavi Simons won't be there in time to join this team, they still have Mohamed Kudus, they still have Brennan Johnson. These guys are really good, fast, adding points along 2 game weeks, and every chance that they will do the same against Bournemouth this week. Then finally looking at the forwards, guys, again, Arsenal facing some woes here. Gabby Jesus is still out. Kai Havertz is going to undergo surgery for his knee. It seems that he will be back sooner than expected. However, that still remains to be seen based on his physio. Eddie Nketiah still out for Crystal Palace, so Jean-Philippe Mateta almost guaranteed to start. Jorgen Strand Larsen doing really well for Wolves, scoring twice in the cup game this week. However, he has picked up a knock from there and might not be able to change. There was some issue around him as well. Newcastle were looking to make a bid for him to bring him in as a Callum Wilson replacement. Wolves have completely denied that and said he's not for sale, so chances are that move is not happening. This is not related to transfer. He has indeed picked up a knock and might not be available to start. The last 3 players that we're talking about all have an asterisk against them, and that's because none of them are injured, but all of them are currently involved in transfer negotiations and are not available for selection. Now, Wissa and Isaac are having a bit of an issue here, as we've discussed before. Both are refusing to play for their teams because they're really pushing for their moves. Wissa to Newcastle and Isaac away from Newcastle to Liverpool. Still remains to be seen in the 3 days left before the transfer window if any of that will happen and what happens post that should they not move. Nicholas Jackson, on the other hand, has a very amicable situation with Chelsea. Chelsea have brought in 2 strikers, as you know, Liam Delap and João Pedro. There is no place on the starting lineup currently for Nicholas Jackson. He's been asked to move. He does want to move. It's a World Cup year. He wants to make sure that he is playing so that he's available for selection. So the player and the club are working well together to try and get a move. However, Chelsea's valuation is very high, and that might be the stumbling block in this entire setup. On the picks, Erling Haaland, guys, blank last week. I know a lot of people moan about that. He is the player expected to get the most points, most goals this week against Brighton, a home game. That's why we've got him up there, and Erling Haaland does do really well in the first 5 or 6 weeks of FPL, even though he might blank every once in a while. Again, not everyone can afford him. He is available in about 5 or 6, I believe 8 of the teams out of the 20 that are there. If you have him, hold him, think about captaining him as well. Same with Ollie Watkins. I mean, he's done really well in pre-season. He has the ability to score. Villa have the games available right now. They're just not gelling in the way they expect to, but definitely one worth having in your team. João Pedro has pulled up a lot of points, guys, for Chelsea. They don't have the easiest fixtures this week. However, he is finding the way to make the goals. With Cole Palmer not there, it is very possible he's also going to be moved to penalties. So there's an option for you if you have him. If you're looking to move one of your strikers out, maybe Haaland, Watkins, etc., and looking to replace, João Pedro is a good option. Chris Wood with the next 4 fixtures, definitely an option that you can rotate in there. for this week specifically, Benjamin Sesko has got to make his mark against Burnley. If he's not going to score against them, guys, I don't really know when he's going to score this season. And for Newcastle, 2 fantastic games back to back. Young William Masula has done so well last week, coming in as well, scoring and making the equalizer. Unfortunately, they lost to Liverpool, but he has shown that he can make the difference. With Anthony Gordon out and not able to play in that makeshift striker role, it is very possible that Osula will get 90 minutes at least in one of the games, or at least 60 plus minutes in either one of the games over this week. Very exciting times, guys, all very close. It's the last game week before the international break, so make sure that you make your teams get ready for the end of the transfer window, and we'll bring you all the updates on that. Then get ready to possibly play a wild card and get set for the rush towards January. Congratulations to all those that are sitting up top. Get ready for the chasing pack coming behind you. That's all we have for now, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, set up a notification so you can get the videos as they're coming through. Good luck for game week 3, and so long for now.